Another one. Here's a close-up of one of their time ships. This is something that they had a long time developed. They're very proud of this particular ship because now it can jump time. I think these are very clear. The thing is, are they fake or not? When you see terrain beneath it, then you have to begin to say maybe it's not fake. Now here's one that's kind of hard to see, but there's a hillside view, and then there's and I want to see another one. There's one where I had a Mirage jet. Where was this thing? It was chasing one of them. Is that it? Yeah, that's it there. Here's one where they had a French Mirage jet that was trying to chase this thing. It was close to it, and it jumped time. And it appeared there, but you can still see in the background there, this Mirage jet. And this is a blow-up of it on the other side. I have a movie of this one too. I had some floods in all of my place, and I haven't been able to find it since the floods came on. That's really something to see. Here's three of them again, and they're kind of going around. On the movie, you can see them going around, but there's three of them here that are going by, taking through some twigs and trees. So what I'm showing you is that they did contact him. This is Sunjazi is the female that was the captain and the leader of this particular ship. Here's one showing you coming around a bank. It's a flat forest, and you can see it again from this one. It's kind of a pretty picture to see. But see, this is where you can begin to look and see if there's any other things that you can weigh it against or get a size against or something like that. It's coming into a metal there. Most of the goodies.
Dr. Blair, you want some water?
No, thank you. I think that was... Oh, the Palladian connection to Egypt. As I say, UFOs built the pyramids, folks. An alien race that built the pyramid and extraterrestrial race that built the pyramid. There's a whole different thing there. Don't tell some Blinders Petrie about that, though. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that very much. There are pyramids on every planet that is part of what is called the Space Galactic Confederation. Because pyramids are time, help you to jump time. If you want to make something on Earth that uses power, shape it in the form of a pyramid. Russia has done so now. It leads the whole world in weather wars. Oh, weather wars? You don't know about weather wars? Oh. Well, everybody talks about the weather, but nobody can do anything about it, right?
They have 4 different type of heart.
4 generations.
Folks, there have been, I just came back from Poconos and then up there again, and of course it's barren up there now, just leaves and no trees and no snow either. But it was till we could see again. There's been lots and lots and lots of rain. You know what I don't see anymore? Thunder and lightning. to tell me, unless you have the other hydrogen released, and then therefore you can get the oxygen, and so on and so forth again. And then you get what they call this thing, this another entity that comes about once you, at any rate. Now you just get no thunder, you just get rain. Just rains, rains, rains. Because the whole sky is artificial.
Yep.
You can't even see the sun anymore. The sun is peeking through because it's so powerful now. By the way, we got 3 suns. It is so powerful now that it's all you can see. But the whole sky now, you're in your lab rat. You have a false canopy. You can't even see a cumulus cloud anymore. When you go up in the airplanes right now, when they fly through all these chemtrails, the whole plane will vibrate. I thought that thing was going to come through, so give me some biggies. Yeah, because it's all full of these particles. Titanium, barium, aluminum. And now, with Fukudemi Daiichi, you got cesium and plutonium-90. And cesium and, plutonium-90. So now you got cesium, plutonium, barium, titanium, and you're breathing this stuff. You don't have any choice. You're a lab rat. And no world government stops it. What does that tell you? Not one world government says, why are they spraying my people? And why don't they stop it? If it was a government, then you got a collusion of world governments that want all of you sprayed with chemtrails. You're breathing chemtrails. You know, it's one thing here, I bet you none of them will do. I bet you none of you will stop breathing. Do it for me, stop breathing. So if you don't stop breathing, what do you think you're breathing in every time you go outside? Titanium, barium, aluminum, cesium, strontium-90, and every other thing they choose because you're a lab rat. That's all you are. And you're tired of being a lab rat, so is the creator tired of you being a lab rat. So to get past that laboratory ratness, you're going to have to raise elevation to stay with this planet. The reason why it's taken so long is because most of us couldn't have made the grade. It's given us time to clean up our act as they get rid of them. This is a time to clean it up. This is a time to stop thinking and saying the negative thoughts. And by the way, when you get perfect, start criticizing other people. As soon as you're perfect, criticize other people. You got so much work to do inside, you shouldn't be able to criticize anybody else. If you really spend your time doing what you want to do. But most people would rather criticize somebody else because they can't live with themselves and they lie to themselves. Lie to yourself, you lie to anybody. Over and over again. Face the fact, folks. Things are speeding up. You can feel it. Things are speeding up. People are getting very jittery and nervous. There are people that take orders on my internet, on my website. And this is the truth. This guy, I didn't take it, but one of my people that helped me, one of my group here, the guy made an order on the internet, and then 3 minutes later wanted to know where the order was.
3 minutes, dang.
I said, you're telling me a lie. The guy told me, he said, no, but he said, I tell you, he texted me. Said, when are you going to be sent? Because when he ordered, you're supposed to drop it in the mail. I said, tell me that this is a lie. He said, it was a lie. The guy just wanted to create some trouble by putting a reversal on PayPal on you. There are people that wait, up there says in plain English, 5 working days minimum. 5 working days minimum. Do you know the weather we've had in Chicago? It's only anything can get through. Whole shipments have been lost and misdelivered. We had 140 days of, I don't know what you want to call it, of man-made weather. So it's going to take time. The mail wasn't getting delivered. That's why I said, forget it. Right now, the people who were buying diodes, and I think diodes are one of the most excellent things, and there are people called Japanese that think so too. You know why I know they think so too? Because they're buying up the diodes more than I can buy. For just being me as I can get 1,000 together to stock up on it. They're buying it because they're using it. And they're using it because they're saving their lives. They're lying on the diode mattress and it's putting radiation and poisons out of their body. They're getting a diode mid for their homes that protects 60 yards in all directions from these towers. You see these towers out here? You see these towers with padlocks on them? And they got infrared, they got infrared cameras on them too, and they photograph, Those things right there are all very deadly. They produce extra low frequencies, ELF waves. Any ELF wave is detrimental because it's a low frequency, it's extra low frequency. The lower the frequency, the more the harm. The higher the frequency, the less the harm. We got frequencies now go through it so fast we don't even know they exist. But it's the slow ones that get in there and tear up your cell, producing free radicals within your body. And every time you use a smartphone, you're a dummy. Unless you have a dial. These people are bought, take your smartphone. Dial in Alpha Centauri, type it in. Or type in Epsilon Butte. Or type in Mare Crisium. You will get a download or an actual picture of just what you ordered. What does that tell you? You've contacted an orbiting satellite, which is now downloading directly into you. And what are you doing? Holding it in one hand, switch with the other. You got a direct contact now with a radiation-laden satellite. And you just said, oh, aren't I smart? Isn't that brilliant? Those things are dangerous, folks. They got smart meters out there now. That's worse than the smartphone, and just as bad. The smart meters are illegal. You can fight them. But who takes up the fight? In Michigan, they actually got their state senate to reverse that, and people can now get them removed. But the smart meters all check the electrical usage in your home. And you pay more for it because the price goes up because you got a smart meter on it. And they're giving more radiation. They can tell when you're shaving. They can tell when you turn on the light watching TV by the amount of energy that you're using, the amount of radiation that's showing up on your meter. And since they're on every meter in the block, they can get a collective reading, meter to meter, and tell what everybody in that neighborhood is doing. When they're home, what they're doing, where they're walking, and you can also see the people's energy field moving inside the house. Huh? You asked for that, didn't you? You asked for them to give you that, didn't you? No, you didn't, because you don't have any control of it. The Illuminati run this planet for the Dracons who had this planet. Every time you go to an election, you don't select, you elect. And you don't know who you elect because the computer tells you who elected you. And yet, you think that you're voting. Yeah. Where can't I begin? I know I've dropped a lot. I'm just beginning. Let's kind of lighten up a little bit. Because it's just as heavy to lighten up as it is to lighten up if it's heavy. Think about that. It's just as heavy to lighten up. Lighten up is heavy. Now, they had, next time they had what they call, hockey is beginning to be a very excellent sport now on this planet. It has been for a very long time. Ask the Moors. We used to play field hockey with a stick and a club. In fact, when the Moors came over to Nova Scotia and went across what they now call Canada and came down into what used to be called Encalia, which you now call Algonquin in America, they were playing hockey. But they used it not so much on ice, they used it on a structure. They used it on land. Okay? Well, other day, you know, I don't know if you're into hockey. I'm an avid hockey fan now. Hockey's really growing, especially in Chicago, because the Blackhawks, you know, they won 2 Stanley Cups, and millions of people came out. They wouldn't come out to vote, that's okay. They wouldn't come out to picket, that's okay. They came out to honor the Blackhawks. So let me go into this. The Montreal Canadiens were in Game 7 in overtime, and a winger came flying out of there, pushed aside another guy, shot a slap stop, scored it, and that was it. Montreal was going on deeper to the Stanley Cup, and Boston was out. You talk about cursing. You have not heard FUs and nigger and all the rest of it like that. The guy happened to be black. And the people in Boston went crazy. I think I remember Crispin Attic getting something like that happening to him. And it's just where they had the Boston Marathon. They're supposed to be wholesome now and God-fearing, right? Because that black man scored the goal, they went crazy. Look up on Twitter and Twitter, all over the place. Hate black people because the Montreal Canadiens black man won it. And he doesn't know how to play hockey anyway. You threatening? Well, I tell you, I look at racism, I look at people. People are crazy.
Yes, they are.
People are prejudiced from their heart. People are dumbed down, comatose, brainwashed, indoctrinated, vaccinated, and encrypted. To the point now where any tool which makes you almost useless nowadays. So I want to get back a little bit. I did this on drive time to Washington, D.C., thanks to, again, what's the brother's name? Carl Nelson. I did this drive time show last night. And wherever the phone bring off the hook. What's very interesting about all of that is that I did some research. And there have been black people playing hockey for I don't know how long. One of the acronyms that they give is called SONA. SONA stood for, what is this again now? Society of North American Hockey. That was what the black people were playing hockey with when the National Hockey League and all wouldn't have them. It was called SONA, Society of North American Hockey Players, okay? They had within that their own leagues. And one of them that came out of, it was Quebec ago, was called the Three Aces. The Three Aces played for a black hockey team, and they had a guy by the name of what was called, what is this guy's name? Herb Carnegie. I had to look this one up. Herb Carnegie. Herb Carnegie stood 6'3", 220 pounds, and skated like a flash. Scored 70 goals in one season. He had his own brother. His brother was called Ozzie Carnegie. Wasn't quite as good, but probably as good as any of the superstars right into now. And he had a third guy out there who was called, again, Manny McIntyre. Those were the Three Aces. They refused to play those people in that National Negro, or what do you want to call it, hockey league. They wouldn't even play them. Yet they come out there and say that hockey is a white man's invention and is played by Caucasians only. It was started by black people. And here's one that's going to grab your heart. Hold on to your seat. When you start hearing about the slap shot, that vicious wham and see it, now you don't, that slap shot, they say Boom Boom, Jeffrey On, and Bobby Ho were two of the best personifiers of black. It was not. The slap shot was invented by a black man. But hear about this black man that invented the slap shot. The slap shot was invented by a guy by the name of Henry Franklin. Henry Franklin was a goalie. Henry Franklin was 3'6" tall.
3'6".
Did you hear those bombs I just dropped on you? You haven't heard anybody say that. Remember again, give me my dues. I do my research. The Creator leads me into my research. Henry Franklin was so close to the ice that when he slapped it, bam, it was a slap shot. He had the slap shot because he was that close to the ice. And he was a goalie that scored 3 goals because he hit it so fast, it got down before the players could get there. That's what was called the slap shot. 3'6" midget, black guy, Henry Franklin. Make some money, $64,000 question. Yes. Folks, we are so dumb on this planet. We are so dumbed down, comatose, brainwashed, inoculated, vaccinated, and racist to our heart. And we got 13 races on our planet, 7 of which we don't know anything about. You can't get along black, white, yellow, red, and white, or whatever. You got 13 other races here. You got people living inside the earth. You better learn to get along. That's all I got to say. If you can't get on the color of skin, you're going to really be in trouble. Very much trouble. This is stupid what we do down here. All of this thing about anyway. But I had to throw that out to you again. 3'6" guy. Make some money on that one. I'm sure you can get some big dough on that one again. So I'm saying again, and one of the first things too, one of the first black men, which you used to hear this person a lot, his name was Willie O'Reed. And it was the Boston Bruins that invited him to their minor league team. So even though they were one of the first ones to get into the minor leagues, they were the first ones to call them niggers because they got beat afterwards. I wish we get so passionate about so many other things as we get about sports. And of course, sports now is going to be presented all the time to get you diverted, to keep you happy. That's why any kind of sports you want now, you can get. As long as you stay occupied. As long as you stay dumbed down, comatose, brainwashed, and sportsified, that's cool. When you wake up and start doing something more than sports, now you get dangerous. So there's no any kind of sports you want, it's you. Keep in mind, starting next year, they're not going to be able to play sports unless you have a domed stadium. And after we get one of those tornadoes to come through and people are going to die from it, remember you heard this here, then you're going to have to get sports stadiums that have a dome on them. It's going to take that for them to realize that you cannot play sports, baseball, in the wintertime. And the seasons are changing so now that you're going to have dome stadiums to hold any kind of sports fix, per se. How much can one person talk about in 1 hour's time? And now we just go into our second hour. All this to me is trifling if we don't understand our reasons for existence. If we don't know where we came from, if we don't know what we're doing here, and if we don't know where we're going. What is more important than that? Many of you are incarnates here many, many, many times over. And until you can clean up your karma, you will be incarnated here. But since our planet is not going to stay in kindergarten much longer, it means you either now will change or cease to exist on this planet. You'll have to go someplace else to carry out the lesser dharma, to carry out the magic that's going on. There is a book called the Bhagavad Gita, part of the Vedas, the Upanishads. It's called That As It Is. And part of the Bhagavad Gita talks about Vamanas and Vimnas. And this is part of the Bhagavad Gita, which worships and has Krishna as its head. Oh, by the way, you have all kinds of black gods, folks, but you don't like black gods. So they give you what you think you want. Okay? Now, the word Buddha means black. Krishna is blue-black, had a black nimbus or aura. Fuhai of China was black. Quetzalcoatl, Ixtilton, and there's another, and Omocolado in Mexico were all black. Laos was black. Isis in Egypt, or Hathor before that, was black. Zeus, the Greek god, was black. Tyre from Scandinavia, where people are so tall and light as the same, had a black god, Tyre. The only religion that does not have a black god is the one that most of you just came from church the day before you came here. Now, wasn't that hurtful? Aren't I ungrateful? I am an ex-black Baptist minister. Did you know that part too? I had a full life. I had to get over spending years being taught a lie. And it took me, it took me 13 months to get over the fact that I had been lied to and was becoming a Baptist minister, but I'm not a hypocrite. And I'm not going to go on something that I know is a lie, but when I had to use the age of reason, I had to read a Wasp-A, I had to read the Matrix, I had to read everything I could. I said, doggone it, this is a lie. And I just did 2 weeks ago, the true story of Easter and Ishtar. And what does that have to do with bunny rabbits and eggs, ascension? All that is cloaked in magic and understanding there again. And in fact, there are two types of eggs that a chicken can lay. There's a brown egg, which you don't see anymore, that has a yolk and a membrane. And there's a white egg that has no yolk and is pale. That's where the colored eggs came from, because the colored eggs were the strongest egg because they had a membrane and the other one didn't. All this we've forgotten. We have been so brainwashed and miseducated. I'd rather see it, you know, they're going to have a charter school pretty soon. You're not going to be able to go unless you pay. That's one of the best things that ever happened if you have some smart parents. School them at home. Don't school them in school. School them at home. Don't school them in school. Everything they teach you is a lie because you have to be controlled. And you never educate a species or anything that you want to control. Because eventually they'll take over. You do not educate one that you own and control. You never go to school for an education. You go for a training program to fulfill a niche in a cog that's grinding you under. You didn't hear that, did you?
I heard it.
I know you didn't hear that, did you?
I heard it. I know it and heard it.
If I want to educate you and I want to stay on top of you and control you, I'd be a fool to educate you. You don't educate somebody. An educated person is dangerous. Might think on their own. Might even challenge you. But to keep them dumbed down, comatose, brainwashed, inoculated, vaccinated, encrypted, you can control it. So yes, I was there, but at least I didn't lie to myself. Once I understood the mystery, then I understood it. Also, in the Upanishads, it talks about a battle that was fought between a Vintla and a Vamana. Now this is in the Book of Truths, a portion of that they call the Upanishads, which is believed in by those who believe in that religion. And it was a story of Rama and Sita. Rama was a lover, Sita was his love. The beautiful, handsome prince and the beautiful, wonderful princess. The color doesn't matter. This is a saga. And then this evil patriarch, this old man came and said, I'm going to take this woman and all her virtues and use her. And so he got his Vamana and he stole Sita. And his Vamana could go interstellar. If you hear about the religion there in Krishna, it talks about what? Flying carpets and things along this line. You know why they call it a flying carpet? Because they had such power that the whole castle could rise up along with the carpets. A whole house could levitate. These saucers or these creatures, these things were so big and so large. So, when this evil sorcerer stole Sita and took her into his interstellar craft of Vamana, Rama found out about it and knew he had a slight chance because his Vamana was just a little thing. He couldn't go interstellar. And he knew if they ever got her interstellar, he lost his love for life. So his whole idea was to catch her, try to rescue her before the Vamana could go interstellar. And then they talked about the battle that was fought. Mainly it was a battle that was fought for the Vamana because Vintla was afraid of shooting the Vamana too much because he might kill the princess. But when he got desperate, he began to shout. And they talk about Brahma's weapon. And they talked about Indra's dart. Indra's dart spit fire and exploded in the heavens. And Brahma's weapon made elephants tremble and the ground shook. They used advanced weaponry in this battle of Rama and Sita. This is said to be their book of truths, folks. Everything in there is supposed to be true. Not just make-believe. It's supposed to be things that actually happened in there. So they were talking about spaceships and interstellar ships way back then. There's nothing new about them. The battle on this planet has been going on for time immemorial. And we are just beginning to wake up to how much time has passed and what this whole thing of creation is all about again, per se. Where do I go from here? One more, and then I want to do what I love to do, which most people get tired of it because I like to answer questions. Rather than avoiding questions, I like to answer. I like to entertain answers and hear what you have to say to a degree. Because I learned from this, it keeps me on my P's and Q's. But in the meantime here, one other thing I want to get back into are these pyramids and pyramids. Over in Egypt, there is a city that some have called Cairo. And it is said that that is the capital of Egypt. Of course, it's not part of Africa, is it? Sometimes when you want it to be, most of the time, no. Right? Because you don't want that, because that's too many good things there. And Africa is full of nothing. Oh. Tell you about Africa sometimes, and the pyramids they have yet to discover in Africa, and Miro, places like that. And Gaddafi, where they killed, and people just applauded because evil Gaddafi was gone. I cried like a baby. Worst thing they ever did was kill Gaddafi. He didn't say he was an Arab, he said he was an African man. Let me come back to that because I don't want to get too tangent-fied on that particular one. Go back again to what they did over there at this time. The city of Cairo is called Cairo because the Greeks could not pronounce K. They used a CH. It's actually called Kahir. Not Cairo, Kahir. They couldn't pronounce that. So it's Greek to me became the capital of Egypt, Cairo. Cairo means Mars. What did that suggest to you? It was built by Martians. It has been triplicated in series A, B, and C. Oh, these bombs that this man drops. And right out there in that trilogy there is where they built a colony of Mars right there in Egypt. And they called it Kahir. Kahir means Mars. The Martians came here because of a calamity that happened in space. The eye of Mars is not an eye, it's a concave area that was ripped out of Mars by something that came through there and devastated Mars. That's why you don't see the eye too much. It's a big concave there. Your president had just said that they're going back to where?